All right, man. Welcome back to the Geekset podcast, the only podcast that blend hip-hop culture and geek culture together. I'm your boy Deuces in the building, and this is One-on-One with Deuces, the place where I speak with creators, curators, content pushers, and people you should know. And right now, man, I'm speaking with somebody that I'm truly, truly excited to speak with. Somebody that it should have been happening. I was trying to make a thing happen and everything like that. But I'm speaking with Miss Tanjareen Thomas, right?
It is Thomas, yes.
Making sure.
Yes, thank you for asking. And it's pronounced Tangerine. Thomas.
I don't think I
Yeah.
can do that. I don't think I can do that. But how are you doing today?
I am fantastic as always. I keep a positive outlook no matter what's going on, and I'm always fantastic.
Yeah, no, you are a very, very busy person. It's one of the things that I do admire about like what you do is your work ethic and everything that you put out in this world. So I was like, all right, yeah, I definitely
Thank
want
you.
to make sure I get some time to speak with you because I enjoy talking to the people that I'm true fans of, right? People that I watch their content, that I'm active into their community and everything. So it's one of those things like, okay, who else I want to get, how I want to get it. And within season 3 of this interview series that I'm doing, I was like, okay, it only makes sense. Like I just interview Ty Davis. Now I'm going to get you, like just kind of continue that path going. But
Thank you. You've been interviewing all my friends and just posting it up in my Discord. I'm like, yo, when is he gonna ask me? I guess I'm chopped liver in this
well,
BIH. But
I
I thank you for the invite.
well what I try to do because like here's the thing is like when I jump into like people's Discord and stuff like that, like I do promote, but I do also try to make sure I'm of the community and communicate with the people. Because one of the big things that I do as part of a part of like my growth is to make sure that one, I'm not just leeching off of people's fan base, but two, like when I'm interviewing people, it's really like I call myself the voice of the people because I'm in everybody's community and their fan base and active in what they do. So when I get a chance to be on platforms with these people, it's like, oh, this is somebody of your community that is, has a platform and is really, having that conversation with. So I was like, I didn't want to just jump in immediately, but hey, yo, Tans, let me, like I wanted to make it make sense and everything.
Okay, okay, I forgive you. It's fine.
Right. But so you multi-talented person, I would say you host, you are an actress, you're a comedian. You pretty much did pretty much all forms of entertainment, like so far. Um
Yeah, I mean, I don't sing professionally, but I can act like a singer if I need to. So,
so my
hence me singing the name Tangerine
right
off
man,
key.
you can hold it up, like I said, and there's nothing that auto tune can't fix. Auto.
Hey, that part.
What is your favorite like means of entertainment? Like as far as all the things that you do, which one gives you the biggest endorphins?
mm. I love producing because I like putting out fires. I love coming up with new ways of creating content. I'm probably a control freak. So I love, hiring people to do this or me doing this on my own, or I love just putting the puzzle pieces together. So whether it's from concept to execution to editing to uploading, I love that part of it. Acting is fun too. If I'm not the producer, I love being able to make people laugh and forget about whatever they're thinking about. If I'm doing drama, I love making people feel something. But probably producers first, acting is second.
Oh, that's dope. That's dope. Like because like for me, I was first introduced to you through skits and sketches. So it was like,
Mm,
it was one of those things like what I found is like a lot of creators who are doing those, but also come from like traditional acting or stage or whatever the case may be. Um, like it's always one of those things where like you're like, oh, they do that as well. Oh, they do that as well. It's like one of those
yeah.
pleasant surprises that you find out. So like when I saw that and then like I started diving more into like CT's work and everything, and then I got introduced to stuff that she was doing. I was like, oh no, she's really out here kicking butt. Like she is killing it right now. So like that's dope. Like I can definitely see you behind the screen, especially with people like a lot of the most dope people right now are definitely women of color that are just like putting out some dope work. Like I mean, obviously Issa
Finally.
killing it right now and things like that, but it's opening that door, for more people to create, more people to have insight, and so it's like it's definitely want to see us tell our stories from that point of view from a person
Absolutely,
of color.
absolutely. I think a lot of people have been told the narrative from watching the news that 2020 was this horrible year, but I think it was an amazing year because it forced you to make a pivot. It
Yeah,
forced you if you lost your job, that may be sad, or if you look at it from like a Buddhist point of view, they're always like, "Hey, don't be attached to anything.
yeah,
Nothing is good or bad. It just is. Okay, you lost your job. Now what? I had eggs for dinner, whatever. So you find another job. You look at what's needed. Amazon is killing right now. Maybe I could drive for Amazon, or maybe I can create something that something can be sold on Amazon and I don't have to leave my house. So when I made a pivot, I created two new live stream shows that I do every week, and it raised my following, it raised my fan base, it forced me to be consistent with creating, multiple times a week. It's been an incredible journey. And then I still shot a TV show in between that. And so I had no problems with 2020. I was just like, cool. I hope 2021 is just like this, times 10.
And that's what I always tell people the same thing because I'm like, man, yeah, 2020 was, was bad economy wise and like just in general. But I was like, as far as creative wise, yeah, like I started doing these interviews during COVID. And
Mm-hmm.
it was one of those things because I was like going into the pandemic. I said I want to make sure that my podcast and my team we come out of it better than when we went into it. And it was like,
Amen.
yeah, what? So it's like we started doing this, and I started just like really grinding, reaching out to people. And I was like, what I think is dope is like it is like the fact that you knew that I was interviewing people, and you're like, well, when did you call me? Like last 2019, you didn't know who Young Deuces was, you didn't know nothing
I
about
didn't.
thing. So it's like I feel like accomplished to that point where like I know that like there's people like yourself that like I view as like top tier like content creators wise because you guys are your guys' collective. Everybody that's associated with you guys are all doing it big. So I love the
Thank
fact
you.
that I can at least be like, well, yeah, well, at least they know of me. They know, that I get to be on things like Zooming with the homies. So it's like it's one of those things where I'm like, I feel like I accomplished what I was set out to do, and now the next step is just continuing it and building upon that. So,
See, look at 2020. Look at 2020. That's
it's,
great.
but I did. So let's get into your show. So you got Tangerine Stop Talent, and then you got Shoot Your Shot, um,
Yes.
which is like the talent show and then the online dating show.
Mm-hmm.
Where did those ideas come from? I guess when you in this world of consecration where you can come up with anything, why those two?
Good question. I was sitting at home bored, eating everything I could during the beginnings of the pandemic, Netflixing and chilling all day long in my drawers next to CT. All I was doing was walking back and forth to the fridge. And I was just like, man, we stuck in the house for 2 more weeks. And they added that second set of weeks on.
Yep.
And I was like, what are you doing, girl? You're literally sitting here doing nothing. And you know how to produce. Like, why are you sitting here? So I got my bike out of the garage. I started riding my bike because I hadn't done that in years. And as I was riding, it must have been God that was just like, Tangerine Style Talent. And I was like, oh, I like that name. I was like, what is that? I was like, Tangerine Style Talent. I was like, I'm gonna start doing a talent show online. And then I was like, I got to do a show about the fact that every time I do a video or post a picture with one of my fine homegirls, the dudes are in the comments like, hook me up with her. What's her at? I already tagged her. I'm not no hater. She's already tagged. You don't have to ask me. Shoot your shot in my DMs. Yo, the third girl on the left, shoot your shot. Then I was like, shoot your shot. I'm going to do both shows. So the very same week, they both launched in April. Shoot Your Shot, the first and only interactive quarantine dating game show, and then the virtual open mic, Tangerine's Top Talent. And now they've both gone to this week is the 40th episode of each.
Nice.
So 80 shows, that I would have accomplished by the end of this week. And they've all been so much fun to come up with. And it was all for me just riding my bike saying, I'm tired of being lazy. And then I got that spiritual whisper with these ideas. And I came home and told CT, actually, no, he told me that he was about to do a showcase for singers. And I was like, that's crazy because I'm about to start doing Tangent Top Talent. And then he was like, I want mine to sound like the name that sounds alike. And then he was like, CT Singing Showcase. I was like, that's it. So we started on the same week. He did his on a Sunday. I did mine on a Tuesday. I did my other one on Thursday. Now I have the after show for Shoot Your Shot. It's the post show interview with the girl. That's on my OnlyFans every week. And then I have the Celibate Info podcast where we talk about sex, relationships, toys, fetishes, and whatever kinky stuff we come up with. That's on my OnlyFans. So I have, and then I help him judge his singing showcase. So what is that, 5 different shows that I'm doing per week instead of sitting here watching Netflix. So yeah.
That's dope because it's like it's one of those things where like you think about it and you're like, okay, like there's a lot of talent, like for the talent show portion, there's a lot of talent out here. And when the world shut down, like if you were not already on, you kind of really didn't have any outlet or platform to continue to kind of push unless you were already like putting out your music or stuff like that. But like there was a lot of people who didn't have a space. This is a space that like at some point somebody can go and like, well, Tangerine, a voice I trust, a person that I trust. Let me see what she got going on there, and who knows? Somebody can. There's some type of connection that can be made off of that
There
show.
have been
Yeah, so
producers have reached out to people. They've collaborated with beats. People have gotten deals. People have done duets and group performances on the show just from meeting each other online. Today we had somebody who was all the way in Guatemala City performing on a guitar. We had another young lady that was in Canada performing, another Romanian chick performing. Like, it's an international show. There's people watching in Jamaica and France and London and in here in the States, and they're loyal, and they keep telling other people about it, and more people call in from all over the world, and it's just a great networking resource. I'm meeting them, they're meeting others, they're collabing with things. It's so fun to watch. They call me all the nicknames of Suge Knight and Kirk Franklin Reen. Like, they put all these names together with people who are creating groups, but I love it because there is a lot of talent. And even if you were on before the pandemic, concerts had to stop.
Hey,
CT was on the road with Martin Lawrence, and he was about to get on a plane. And then they said, oh, wait, the tour is going to be canceled because of COVID. So the whole rest of his dates, he was stuck in the house. So whether you're on or not, you aren't supposed to be going anywhere. So
that's true.
people,
Like during this pandemic, I think I did 3 online concerts for my music. But it was like, yeah, it slows everything down. It really does. It's like you really got to find different ways to kind of put it on, like how you're gonna showcase your talent, how you're gonna showcase your music. One of the things that I'm surprised, and I forgot what podcast I was listening to, but I don't know. Did you ever watch MTV Unplugged?
hmm
Yeah,
hmm
I felt like this would have been a perfect time for MTV Unplugged to like come back because it was literally just like a live show, artists there with the band, and then we kind of just shoot it well and then present it. I'm like, because I love live shows, and that was one
that's
of
a good idea.
the things that I was gearing up to do is like to do a live show, but then like COVID hit. But I'm going to do like a live online performance with this new album. But it's one of the things that I think that I like. I feel like people with that creativity, like that should have been a show and things like that.
So you gonna say it and put it out there for them to run with it, or are you gonna do it? Because that's a dope idea.
Yeah, I got to get the resources, but I probably can. I don't know. I don't know. I've been putting a lot of focus on this
It
on
looked like you got a camera,
yeah. Oh, we got a
you
whole
got
bunch.
a mic.
Yeah,
Do the show, bro.
do the show,
Do
bro.
the show. You could do it outside like Dave Chappelle did his special outside.
That I could. That I could. Yeah, yeah. Uh,
Well, there we go.
yeah. But all right. So another thing that I think is really dope is the relationship between you and CT. You guys,
I
you're
can't stand that motherfucker.
that's what I love about it because y'all comedic relationship, the way y'all support each other, but the stuff like it's hilarious, but it's like it's hilarious to the point where like everybody knows about y'all. So it's like you be shooting your shot or you be messing around like on a different show, and people be in the constant comments like, "Oh, I'm gonna tell CT," and you're like, "Listen here, okay."
Haters.
He literally be in the other
Haters.
room,
He's watching too. He's shooting his shot in the comments of somebody else
right?
while I'm shooting mine. Like, y'all mind your business. What we got is good.
But like that's dope. Like it's real dope because like when I like again when I first got introduced to y'all, I didn't even know that y'all was a couple. I just thought that, I got used to seeing content creators work with each other so much. So I just assumed that you guys were just content creators working with each other well because, you would see the How Dare You videos. And I always, like, anytime I would show somebody, and this is what I thought was dope, like, I would show somebody CT's part, but then I was like, but wait a minute, like, it's not just one sided. You also got to get the woman's side. Like, saying you were doing yours, but those skits are hilarious. Was that
Thank
yours
you.
or CT's idea, or y'all came up together, or
Well, almost all of our skits are from real life experiences.
that makes it even better?
So something will happen, and then usually it's him on, if it's on his page, he's probably the one who wrote it first, but it comes from us really doing some wild shit to each other and then just being like, nigga, I'm right here. What are you doing? How dare you? Are you serious? All right, let's make it a skit. So I think he's the first one to write those, but it's based in reality. Unfortunately, we just exaggerate it to make it more ridiculous.
That makes it even more funnier. That because that's the one thing you probably think is like, all right, well, Tangerine probably get hit on all the time, CT probably get hit on all the time, so they probably have these weird situations where it's like, she's right here, like,
Yeah,
you gotta have
people be mad disrespectful, yo.
but they don't want to take you there because I did see that you got them hands. I was like, wait, she a whole boxer? You a whole
I
boxer
am
in
a
there?
professional boxer. Yeah, I used to box for magazine Perfect 10, and I auditioned because I thought it was just like WWE. I thought they were just gonna pretend to throw punches. I was
Oh,
like, oh, this is gonna be fun. And they were like, okay, great. We like how you look. So when you come back in a bikini, and we'll give you your protection and your headgear. And I was like, whoa, protection. I was like, what do I need? And they started naming all the stuff. I was like, why do I need all that? They were like, oh, we're gonna start training. I was like, training. I was like, oh, this is for real. And then I stayed, and it was an incredible experience. I was in the best shape of my life when I was able to go and box and have all these matches, and oh, it was so much fun because we did it in the backyard of this mansion in Beverly Hills with the beautiful sun and people watching. And my dad was in the crowd, proud of me because he wanted a boy, but he ended up with two girls. So now his little girl is boxing. It was fun, and now CT knows I don't take no mess, so that's what's most important because I can whip that ass.
So, how long did you do it for?
Um, I did that show for one season, but then I kept boxing with my trainer for a couple years after that, and then I started boxing just locally, not for money, because I was being paid. The hard thing is when you're being paid to train and to fight, like to continue to fight for free is not the same because they were paying me to literally go to the gym and box, and I was just like, this is incredible. So I probably stopped like 3 years ago because the gym that I was going to did some remodeling, and then they changed some stuff and I didn't like it. But yeah,
Yeah. So you can't even fight out here because don't aren't boxers' hands like registered? So like you can't really fight.
supposedly, supposedly, if I really hurt somebody, I could probably get sued.
That's definitely come after like, oh yeah, get sued by the Tanjareen.
That's a whole damn. You had to remind me of that. That's hilarious.
Oh man. So with the boxing, because like I said, I was just kind of like doing a lot of research and just trying to look into like what else that you've been up to and things like that. And like one, like I said, I was like, oh wait, you was on that what was that show? Hold on, I wrote it down somewhere. Where'd it go? The dating show. Why can't I think of I know I wrote it down.
Oh, the old dating show. You're talking about, you're on my YouTube page.
That was on your YouTube page, yeah.
Okay, that was Change of
Change
Heart.
of heart. Because I was so that
So
so
old.
so little bit of like Tiffany, that was like my guilty pleasure. Like I used to watch that show all the time.
No, all those dating shows, Blind Date and
Yeah.
Eliminate and Love Connect, not Love Connection. What was the one where they Temptation Island, like all that old stuff. That was back then. And yeah, I was on Change of Heart, and he did not, it didn't end well for him because
So behind the veil, I mean, it's been years. Are those scripted or not?
they're not scripted.
Okay.
However, what happens is they set you up with the man and they give him money to take you on a date.
Right.
And then whatever happens. This is before they were bringing cameras on a date. So there was no cameras. You're just supposed to come back and tell them what happened. And then the girlfriend comes in and he decides, you guys decide, who wants him. Unfortunately, with my guy, he didn't take the money that they asked him to take. I guess it was a pride thing. So he couldn't afford to take me out. He lived in San Diego, which was 2 hours away from where I live. He told me a certain time to be ready. He asked me to plan the date because he didn't know anything about LA. So I planned this great date, and he was hours late coming to get me. And I was so annoyed. And when he got there, he was in a car that had no the dashboard, the part that's supposed to cover the motor inside the car, like it was exposed. So I could smell the fumes from the motor.
Oh my God.
The car was a bucket. It was loud. It was cold. There was no heat. So I already have an attitude because he's late. And then he gets there in this raggedy car. I can't breathe. And then he's doing things that are cheap, like telling the waiter that it's my birthday, so I get a free dessert, and just like telling me not to order this and order this. Like it was just a bad day, and it wasn't much we could do because it was so late. And when I got back, I told the producers, I'm not going on the show. He was horrible. There's nothing to talk about. We barely did anything. I don't like him. And they were like, please, please, we need you. Otherwise, we wasted our time. Can you go out with him a second time? And I was like, hell no. And then they were like, I was like, this is what happened. Okay. They were like, well, he's supposed to take our money. We'll give him money again. We'll ask him. So he took the money this time. We went out a second time, and it was still bad, but at least I had more to talk about it being
Right.
bad.
Right.
So it wasn't scripted. It was just that we pretended that those two dates were one date. And so I could talk about all the bad things from both, but not all, because I didn't talk about how broke he was or that he had actually borrowed that car from somebody because he didn't have a car. Like all these different things. He was trying to get a haircut right before the date, and it was taking too long in the barbershop, and he was trying to borrow money and was trying to borrow a car. So that's why he was late. I didn't talk about all that because I didn't want to,
Right.
clip
Right.
his balls all the way. He's a nice guy, just not date worthy.
See, he should have played into it because based off of what we see with you and like your personality, if he had like a good personality, he probably could have played into it and kind of worked it. But
If
like,
he was funny or
yeah,
charming, it would
right,
have been great.
you could have
But
played
the
into it,
but but like we said on the show, girls kept telling me I was pretty or telling him that he had an attractive date, and it was upsetting him. And it shouldn't upset you. I think if you have somebody on your arm and
You,
that person's getting a compliment, it's a compliment to you. But he didn't see it that way. He was like annoyed by that. And I was just like, oh, this isn't going well. You'd rather me be unattractive and not get like, I don't know. And I'm not calling myself attractive. I'm just saying these people were saying it in the restaurants, and he was just like, what about me? And I'm just like, really, nigga? Like that's what dudes do now.
oh, you know what? That also may come from like where somebody can't handle that. Like, so like I know like there's a joke that somebody said online, but it's something that I always said. Like it was like where they have like they'll post a picture like, oh, would you let your girl dress like this and go out like this? And somebody put in there like, look here, if you can't handle your woman being bad, then you don't deserve a woman to look like that. Because it's
True.
like sometimes like sometimes it's just how like a woman just has the features that no matter what clothes she wears is going to insinuate it, whatever that may be. But if they're confident, even if they wear something that's a little bit more, just a little bit more out there or revealing, like if you should be confident enough in your relationship and yourself, knowing that look, yeah, people are going to look, but this is me. This is what's coming home to me, so I'm good.
That
And
part.
I
That
think
part.
that there's a lot of dudes that can't handle that. And I think that that's where a lot of that comes from because then they need that reassurance for themselves. Like, okay, well, I need to get the compliment so she know that I can go too. And it's like, competition, bro. Like it doesn't have to be that.
Exactly. Exactly. Exactly.
um, so you like you said, to kind of go back to your being behind the scenes because you got your bachelor's in TV and film production, correct?
Hmm.
Right. So and then, but you also say that you also at around 6 you was wanted to do like acting or something in the industry and everything. Um, what got you more into the production side? Was it the when you interned at Paramount, or was that always like the goal?
So yeah, I wanted to act since I was 6 years old. I did my first elementary school play. And then as I got older and did more and more plays, my mom just kept telling me, I don't care what you do, but your ass better go to college because nobody in the family had gone to college. And I was like, well, college is dumb. Like if I'm going to act, what do I need college for? And I was like, oh, you know what? I can major in something behind the scenes, behind the camera, learn all aspects, and then open my own production company. And that way I won't be the ditzy actress who doesn't know how much money it costs when she doesn't know her lines. Because a lot of people don't realize all the nails and bolts that go into making one scene or one page happen. And so I wanted to make sure that I wasn't one of those people that didn't understand that. So I went to this college, learned the ins and outs of creating film, TV, and radio. And then as I was doing the projects, I was like, oh, this is an incredible feeling. Like to have a concept and then actually see it through. Oh my God, this is way better than just the acting part. So it came from going to school to do it and then being forced to do it. And then I did a web series called The Celibate Nympho Chronicles. And I starred Tony Rock, Malik Yoba, Rodney Perry, Aloma Wright from the soap operas. And it was amazing because a lot of fires happened. I had to put out a lot of fires, but the finished project won me some awards and it got me the respect I was wanting because at the time, being a slim, tall, young lady, I was always cast as the girlfriend and never the funny girl. The funny girl was always the heavier girl with the curly hair. And I wanted to be seen as, yo, I'm funny too. Like, so I wrote myself as funny. So I was like, let me show you. Look at my project. Look, this is me being funny, not just a girlfriend. So that was what I think helped people to realize, oh, okay, she's not just the girlfriend. She could actually be the lead or she could actually be the funny something. So that's what started it.
Well, you've worked with some heavy hitters, like it when like your your IMDb credits and just in general is very impressive because you've worked with like Steve
Thank you.
Harvey and you work with Cuba Gooding Jr. Like you work with just like some heavy hitters in
Yes, I'm on a TV show called Family Time,
yes.
and
I
the
mean Omar,
star of it is Omar Gooding,
I
and
said
he hates when people confuse him. So I
I,
want to make sure I say
funny,
Omar Gooding.
what's funny is so I knew about the show and I was like, and every time I see him, no matter what, I know he's not Cuba, but no matter what he's in, oh wait, no, it's Omar. Like that's been something
Story of his life.
as long as I've known him, and it's like they don't like they're both noticeable enough that you can notice them, but it's just always that like Cuba's the first that you go to and everything like that.
And then people call him Omar Gooding Jr. He hates that because he's
Yeah,
not Junior. He's just Omar Gooding. And now he has a son who's Junior. But people always either call him Kuba or they call him Omar Gooding Jr. And he's just like, it's not me. So yes. But anyway, you were saying I work with some heavy hitters. I didn't mean to cut you off.
I was gonna say you work with some heavy hitters. Is there anyone that plays like a mentor or anybody that gives you advice that like that you rely
Mm,
on?
that's a great question. I need a mentor. I need an acting mentor. I don't have one right now. I think I'm blessed enough to be able to pick up the phone and call people if I have like one question. But for the most part, I'm one of those people who listens to audiobooks like one per month. And so I'm constantly trying to learn as much as I can from strangers, I guess, because I'm always listening to podcasts. I'm always listening to audiobooks and I just pay attention. I'm not one of those people that has to bump her own head to learn from mistakes. So I'm watching what everybody else is doing. Like, okay, that's not a good idea. I'm not want to follow in those footsteps. So I'm one of those people that's like a visual learner. So I don't have a mentor, but you got me thinking that maybe I should seek one out. That's a
It's,
great
it's it's
question.
it's something that I've been thinking about a lot because I'm like trying to turn the hill on what I'm doing. I was like, man, I don't. I'm figuring things out on my own. So it's just like,
Mm-hmm.
and though I'm getting some outsays, I'm like, man, I would love to have somebody that can like help me through this and things like that's one of the things because I was like it's funny. I started when Clubhouse started popping. I started coming into a lot of the comedian rooms. So this is my theory about comedians and why I have such a high respect for you guys. Um, the comedian grind to me is the same as like a rapper grind or like this content creator grind. And what I say about I relate it more to rap because that's what I do, the music I do, and it's kind of like I see the similarities when you guys are coming up, you guys are working a lot of, dive bars, hole in the wall, places and building up your set, building up a joke, building up how that goes. And that repetition is what makes you the master at that craft. Same thing with music. I've performed in front of 5 people and 10 people. But it's like, I always said, if I'm going to perform, no matter what, if anybody sees me, I'm going to perform like it is a arena because I want somebody, whoever leaves that show, like, man, whoever Young Deuces is, man, he put on a show. So it's like, I seen that. And so when I listen to your guys' story about like when everybody just be talking in Clubhouse about like, oh yeah, remember this club, and then you guys have them stories and you talk about how somebody went before you and they may have bombed, so you had to bring the crowd back, or where somebody like the host was want to shine a little bit more than the comedian, so he's taking
Mm,
the time and trying to kill you.
mm.
But it's like it's things like that I'm like, man, I relate to all of this. So like a lot of the things that you guys are doing, even with merch, comedians, one of the biggest things that you guys got is your voice. So a lot of times your merch comes from things that you have said,
Mm-hmm.
something that you may have did, a face that you have made, or something like that. And I'm like, hell, shit, music is like that too, because sometimes merch may be like this song, but this line may be the line that the crowd goes crazy and say. So it's like I connect and I talk with a lot of you comedians because I'm like, man, I understand it. I see it and I can relate to it. And it's one of the things that you guys got my respect. And I didn't. It's funny because I didn't have this insight to comedians before last year. It
Yeah, because you weren't doing the podcast and getting
yeah,
to know us.
yeah.
Yeah.
And then and Zooming with the homies really introduced it to me a lot because
Mm-hmm.
that's where you guys get on there and talk long form content. And then I started
Yeah.
seeing all your other podcasts and everything. Like I love long form content because I love people's POV. I love to understand how they think,
Mm.
where they come from, how they got there. Like I can disagree with anybody, but it's like I still want to know how. Wait, why? Like even if I think you're 100% wrong, I'm like, Tanj, all right. Well, how did you get here? I was like, I want to know, like, what was your thought process? And I listened to it, and I think that helps me dissect and like just learn people a little bit better and understand like things from a different perspective and everything.
I think two things. One, I think all artists have that same journey of having to perform in front of one or two people,
Yeah,
having to do free shows, because when I was a model, when I first started modeling, I was doing free runway. I was, as an actor, I was doing free theater. Like we always start with the free. We always start with nobody in the audience. I was doing sketch comedy and begging people to come to the show and passing out flyers on the street. And then when they show up and the show was killing, it's like, oh, we got another show tomorrow. I got to do this all over again. And then by the time you're on your second month of the show, the same friends are not coming back. So now if you don't find new friends, you're back to performing to an empty room. So it's comedy, it's music, it's acting, it's modeling, it's any art we have. We have to work just as hard whether we have an audience or not, and just wait for people to realize how dope we are. And it's easier when you're dope and you have a team that's building your audience and you have a team that's getting your followers and all that. But for now, we're all grassroots. So, and the second thing I want to say is I think it's super dope that you are willing to listen to both sides, because if the world was willing to listen to both sides, we wouldn't have people arguing over religion and fighting over territory and arguing over politics, because it's all the same. Republicans and Democrats, they're literally the same. The people up here controlling the puppets don't care which you're red or blue, because they're still going to do what they do with their 1% of the money with the controlling the world. And it's the same thing with Christianity or Judaism or Islam, all of it. It's all just, we love God and we want to treat everybody right. But when you start to argue with each other, you're doing just what the devil wants you to do. None of that stuff matters. So if you actually would just sit down with somebody who believed the opposite of you and say, well, why? Realize y'all got a lot more in common than you don't, the world will be a much better place. So I think that's super dope about you.
Yeah, no, it's one of the things, like it's funny because like people always call me crazy because I give people the benefit of the doubt first. I of the belief that people are going to do good and people want to do good, and it's up to them to prove otherwise, right? So like somebody can be throwing dirt all on your name, but I'm going to be like, well, she hasn't done anything to me, so I'm going to give her the opportunity for me and her to have a relationship, whatever the case may be, and then it's up to you to to showcase that if that's the case, right?
I'm the same way.
Yeah, so it's like people always think that they think that's crazy. Like, no, you got to earn that. I was like, I think it comes from me being a military brat because my dad was in the military and I would bounce around all over the world. And instead of trying to focus on, okay, well, I gotta try to earn more friends. I'm like, you know what? I'm just gonna give everybody. I'm gonna be everybody's friend, and then it's up to them to friend them. Because I was like, I don't know about how long I got here. My dad may get stationed somewhere else, and I got to start all over. So let's get this ball rolling,
Yeah.
And so it's like it's one of those things that I've always lived my life off of that bubble of positivity. And it's, I mean, like I said, it's a couple of times it bit me in the ass, but for the most part, like I meet dope people because it's like it doesn't. I come in full force. Like
Nice.
people are gonna watch this interview. They're like, damn, Deuces and Tans. They probably knew each other for a minute. They don't know this is our first time actually really talking.
First time meeting, we both happened to accidentally wear purple. This was all a coincidence. And I'm a Gemini. We're two faces. So I'm very much the fair person. I'm very much the one who wants to hear all sides. I'm very much the one that can mediate a conversation with people in my family or my husband and somebody he's fussing at, because my husband be going off on people on a daily basis. And so I think I was put in his life to be like, but baby, what about this point of view? Before you cuss him out again, think about it from his point of view. What happened? Like that is my specialty as a Gemini. So I'm hearing that, and it makes total sense as an Army brat.
Did I forget the clacker out there? I'm just gonna clap.
You have brought it too.
I know, I'm just gonna clap.
I'm mad because I was definitely expecting you to get it.
I mean, I could
out of me.
quickly go grab it.
Just clap. 1, 2, 3.
All right, man. Welcome back to the Geekset podcast, the only podcast that blend hip-hop culture and geek culture together. I'm your boy Deuces in the building. With me, I got my man Liv.
What up? It's Liberace. It's the Puerto Rican Santa. The spiccato playing, beat making, motherfucking legendary ass Puerto Rican. Sofrito Papi, and we back.
As always, I got my man Bacardi in the building.
Randolph today.
Konnichiwa, bitches. You know what I'm saying?
Oh my God. I hate all of this. I hate all of it.
What's good, everybody? How we doing today?
And we got Didge in the building.
What is happening, people? What's happening, people? What is happening, people? What is happening, people?
He's out the booth.
But it's like I said, we are expanding. We are doing more. So they say make sure you go to youtube.com/Geekset. Follow us on all social media at Geekset Podcast on every social media. And rating reviews in, man. We are rating reviewers on Facebook, rating reviewers on Apple iTunes, rating reviewers on Spotify, Google Podcasts, whatever platform you're looking at. Give us some ratings, let us know. And then again, this is the only podcast that blend hip hop culture and geek culture together. We are out.
Peace.
As well.
So with radio hosting, because like I said, it was acting and film film production and things like that you wanted to get to. How did you get thrusted into the radio hosting world?
So when I was working on my degree, we had to study radio, and I wasn't interested in it at all because radio to me was an antiquated medium. But I was asked to be a guest on Speedy's Comedy Corner on Sirius XM, which is on the Foxhole Radio channel, which is Jamie Foxx's channel, back in 2008. And I was like, oh, okay. So I was part of a group called the Knockouts for Girls. We were boxers. And we also did boxing charity work besides our boxing shows and performances and competitions. So we were there to promote a charity we were about to do, a charity event, boxing event we were about to do. And I sat with the guys and I talked and I joked and I realized that they were all comedians and I knew most of them. And the other girls were, not in the industry, so they didn't know them. But I was like, oh, this is fun. So when we were leaving, the producer was like, hey, can you come back next week and talk with them? I'm like, yeah. Then he's like, hey, can you come back next week? So I kept coming back. Next thing you know, they made me a regular on the show. Coincidentally, CT was a member of the show. So that's where I first met him. Wasn't interested at all. Not because he wasn't attractive, but just because he was just this playboy, young gun of comedy. I'm a, hey, can we smash kind of guy. And I was just like, get out of here with that. And I was the only girl on the show. It was me with Clayton Thomas, Rodney Perry, Lewis Dix, Corey Holcomb, Johnny motherfucking Mack. It was just all these dudes. And of course, the host was Speedy Caldwell, which is Jamie's best friend. And then my ass. So I was just there having to be quick, and witty and have improv because there's no scripts. And we just talked for 2 hours a week every Wednesday. And so that's what started my comedy career. I mean, that's what started my radio career because I was sitting with these comedians for a year and some change and eventually met my husband. Didn't know that I told him, he would never get none. Actually, I told him he wasn't going to fuck and he didn't fuck. I made him wait 2 years and then we made love and then I got a ring. But anyway.
He was persistent. See, that's what
he was very persistent. Yes.
Persistence is the key.
Mm-hmm.
But that's crazy because I don't know if you like if it was planned or like for you, but you got a natural radio voice. Like that was the first like outside of the sketches. I think that it may have been Zooming with the Homies when you had popped up on there and I was watching it and I was like, oh, it's Tanjareen from the sketches. And then you started talking. I was like, man, she got an amazing radio like her voice. It's just like it sounds perfect for it. So I'm surprised that wasn't seen beforehand.
I do voiceover work. I'm the voice of the egg in all the Denny's commercials. There's if you go to thegranslams.com, I've been the egg in like 25 commercials. They're all animated little puppets and she's sassy with high heels and lashes and talking mess with bacon and hash brown and toast and all that. And then I have a huge campaign coming up this year that I signed an NDA for months ago. And when it comes out, everybody's going to be like, oh, that's Tanjareen's voice. So I can't wait for that to drop. But I worked on that for a long time in 2020, which is another reason why 2020 wasn't so bad. But yeah, I'm a professional voiceover artist and it was something that I always wanted to do, but everybody told me that you couldn't get into the industry because everybody in it stayed in until they died and there was just no room for new people. And I kind of let them condition me to think that. And then I just took a class because CT wanted to take a voiceover class. And I was like, I'll take it with you. I took the class, did an audition and booked it. And I was like, oh, I guess I can fit in there, can't I? Huh. And then I just started working in voiceovers.
It's funny because it's like, so kind of similar to it is like, so I'm starting to try to branch out into certain things like that. So here's my what ended up happening was I do graphic design as well. And one of the things that I started doing it on my own because I felt like people were overcharging me. And I was like, I'm going to teach, I could do this myself. So I learned how to do it to the point where people was like, man, who is doing your stuff? And then they started hiring me to do it freelance. So I was like, I would do that. And I would do that. And I was like, all right, cool. And then at some point I was like, all right, I probably can get some major contacts from this. I was like, if I don't do anything entertainment wise, what I'm doing, I wouldn't mind being a graphic designer, So I was like, all right, let me go to school. So I took myself to put myself in Herzing to kind of finish that out. So once I graduated, they sent out like a survey, like, hey, tell us your story. So I told them my story. They was like, oh man, we like that. We want to put you on our print ad. I was like, cool, whatever. So I did it, and then they was like, man, we really like it. So let's do a commercial. I was like, cool. Hey. So I got this national commercial that's been running for like all year.
Nice.
From like 2020 and on, and I'm like, man, I kind of want to do this now. Of course, I did that for the free ski because it was like I wasn't. But I was like, so I started looking into it, and I'm like, so I started like I do podcasts, I do music, and I'm like, so I started like doing like different voiceovers. So I be submitting to things that are looking for, trying to get into that world. But it is like once you get a glimpse of it, it's like, oh man, I kind of want to do this, and I was like, so yeah, so like that's like it's dope that like how you got there. Again, I'm surprised that it wasn't already there because the voice that you have, like you can see it going mad places and everything. So
thank you. I used to try to sound so sexy when I was like 15, answering the phone at home. Hello. And people be like, "Oh, you sound older. How who is this little Tangerine? How old are you?" I'd be like, "Oh, I do." Like I was trying my best to be so grown, not knowing that I could make a living with this voice. I was just I heard the softness come in, and I was like, "Ooh, what can I do with this? I'm about to try to trap some older dudes, like just being fast." But now it's profitable.
I do like a Girl Six parody. Like
Hey,
they gotta be. I'm su-
throwback.
I'm surprised nobody brought that back. I feel like nowadays, like that'd be a hilarious like new spin or something like that.
Right, right, right. He ain't doing nothing. He could do it, right? He hasn't done a movie
Mike,
in
yes,
a year or two.
Mike. But about your show, Family Time. So again, we talked about it briefly, but that is the longest running show right now that's on Bounce TV. Right?
Hmm. We were
Um,
their first scripted show when when the channel was created by Martin Luther King III, Andrew Young, the ambassador, and also Will Packer. They created the network. And
I
the
know
year they created it, we were their first scripted show. So now, we've just done season 8.
that. So yeah, it's still rolling, right? Correct.
Hmm.
Okay.
Hmm.
So with that show, because this is probably your longest sitcom that you were a part of, correct?
Absolutely. Yeah.
So how was that experience? Like just being a part of something like that, that's building that fan base that has so many loyal watchers and everything, and just being part of something that's like that's part of Bounce TV's history at this point now as well.
It was bittersweet because I had auditioned for Bentley Kyle Evans, and he's the creator of the show Martin and the Jamie Foxx show. He was the executive producer of those shows, and he had me audition for a show called the Love That Girl.
Okay.
And Love That Girl had Tatiana Ali and Alfonso Macaulay, and I really didn't know who was on it at the time. I was auditioning for the pilot, and I didn't get it, and I was a little bummed out, and I was like, oh man. And I really wanted to work with Bentley. And then I auditioned for something else that they were doing. It was a sketch show for Jamie Foxx.
Mhm.
I think it might have been before the Love That Girl. And I auditioned for that. Didn't get it because they put in bigger names like Wendy Raquel Robinson and people like that. I'm like, what is she doing sketch comedy? I mean, she's funny, Tangerine. Don't hate. But I was just like mad that it was going to all these people who already had TV shows. That show didn't go anywhere. So I was like, okay, cool. Love That Girl happened. I didn't get a part of it. Then he had me audition for another show called The Rev. We did 4 episodes. That was starring Tiny Lester. I was his sister. That you can see clips of that on my YouTube page and see how much, chemistry we had. It was a great show. It didn't get picked up. So I was like, damn. So then he had me come in for Family Time. And he said he had me in mind before I even got there. So I booked that. So it was an amazing experience to book something that was actually going to, it did get sold after we did the first season. But it was bittersweet because nobody knew what the Bounce channel was because it was a brand new channel. So it was like, hey, I'm on a new show. It's on Bounce. What's Bounce? Well, it's the first African American channel that was started by, Ambassador Andrew Young and Martin Luther King. And I had to do this whole spiel. And then, well, what channel is it for me in my city? And I had to explain how to find it and what to look up. And it was just like, come on, y'all, just find the channel and be proud of me. I finally booked something. I'm acting. So it's bittersweet. But the actual set is incredible because Bentley has hired his actual family to work at his studio. He owns the studio. His wife is the person who is helping decorate the set. She's also cooking the food for craft service. He's hired his nephews and his brothers to be the writers. His sister's a writer. Like everybody there, PAs are little nephews. Like everybody's related in some way. So don't talk no mess by the water cooler because that might be such and such's mother-in-law or whatever. But it's family. Like we know each other well. We talk shit just like family. We have disagreements like family. But for the most part, we come in there like it's a black show. So we don't do nothing early because one of our actors don't like getting up early. So
Right.
we be having like 11 a.m. table reads when that's unheard of in the industry. Like having to get somewhere at 10:30 for TV, like that's so spoiled. For me to be able to stay up late and then wake up late and still get to work on time, like that's what I love about working at Harvard Studios with Bentley. Like it's family, it's laid back. They let you play, they let you ad lib. I'll do one take the script way, and then I'll just do it the Tangerine way and just be silly. And then the writers will run up to you with things to add, like punch up writers help you punch up the jokes so they want everybody to shine. So it's a lot more fun than most shows. You go to another set, it's stuffy. They don't want you to veer from the lines. They don't joke around. Like it's family at family time, and I love it.
That's dope. That's really dope because like you think about it, like it's pretty much like when you do things with your people, like just in general, like your people, your tribe, your hive, like and then it feels like that. It brings out the best in like that
Yeah.
show because like
Yeah.
you get to be yourself. One of the things that I admire from like it was Samuel L. Jackson and he was saying he was like a lot of directors like working with him because he'll knock out their version, but he'll let them know ahead of time like you're going to want my version, and then he'll do their version, his version, and then like that's how they pick it. But it was
Yeah.
like it's like when you're talented enough where you can ad lib and you can do stuff like that, it's pretty much how you approach it. So like you said, you do their version, but then you do it the Tanjareen way, and then the writers and the directors they get inspired like, oh wait a minute, okay, I like how you did that there. Let's do this and there, and it really brings that. And especially like I said, when it's your people, they get it. They'll get it why you do something with your with your hand or your neck or whatever or whatever you add to it, our people will get it versus somebody
Yes.
that doesn't get the culture. They're like, oh, I don't know
Yes.
what that meant. Like, I don't get that. Like,
Mm-hmm.
so like that's dope that it's that welcoming and everything like that. So
Yeah, I've worked on a couple of non-black sets the same time I've been doing family time, and it's so different. It's so different, and it makes me. I'm grateful for that other work because it's seen by more eyes. It's a bigger network here and there, but it's nothing like being able to have fun and creative freedom. It's nothing like it.
now your production company is Citrus Cinema Incorporated, right?
Citric. Mm-hmm.
Citrus. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Um, what is so I always ask like just pretty much actors, directors this question because it's one of the things that I think that I feel like everybody has, but like what is your Moby Dick story that you want to tell? Like the big thing that you like, if I could do this, this is what I want to tell or anything, or do you have one of those?
I have a few stories that I'm gonna tell. I don't have one big one. I think the Celibate Nympho Chronicles was one of my stories because it was inspired by the fact that I was celibate for 3 years. I was going to Faithful Central Bible Church, which is one of the mega churches in LA, and they would make you feel really bad about fornicating. I was big in the singles ministry. So I was dating people, and if I had sex and went and sat in church on Sunday, I felt like he was talking just to me about being a sinner and how all sins are just as big as a murderer. And I was like, oh my God, I'm terrible. So I was like, I'm gonna be celibate now. And then dating guys and liking them and then telling them they couldn't get none because I'm waiting for marriage was like, oh, that's what's up, queen. I respect that. And then after the second date, they still tried. And they're like, the third date is like, oh, you for real? Well, let me just put the tip in. And so I was like, you know what? I'm going to write about this experience because everybody I know who's trying celibacy or who's trying to not give it up to every dude because we don't want to look like a hoe and we want to wait for Mr. Right, they're going to understand this journey. And sure enough, the comments and all the feedback was like, yo, this is my story. You wrote my story. So the Celibate Nympho, I have the pilot script for it because that was a web series, but I have the TV pilot and I'm going to do the movie version of it because there's dating and relationships is always a story that people can relate to. So that's one of them. Then I have the story about my sister married a white guy because that changed the dynamic of the family.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm not supposed to say it out loud, but mixed families make the people have to watch what they say and how they act, and they're learning the new culture. And it's like you talk one way when the people aren't around, but you can't talk that way when they're there. And then you have to be understanding. You have to get both sides of it. Like you said, well, why? Well, why don't you wash your hair every day like we do? Like it's that whole thing. So I have that story. And then I have the story about my marriage and the fact that our vows are not the way everybody else's vows look. Our agreement, I will say, is not like everybody else's agreement. So I have a story called Married Kinda. And I haven't finished writing that one yet, but you can see traces of it in our sketches
Yeah.
that we are just not like your traditional couple. I'm gonna be looking at the fat asses with you, baby. I'm gonna pick out the fat asses for you. I'm gonna be like, God damn, did you see that? Or oh wait, her wig is too big. Like, we look at the bitches together. And I want to tell that story of how 50% of marriages end up in divorce. So why are we still rushing out to get married? Why is that still the woman's goal? If you were going to a movie theater and 50% of the chairs blew up and killed you, would you still rush out to go to the theater? No. So maybe there's something we should change about marriage to make it fit what we can really handle and really stick to. And so I want to write those three stories are my Moby Dick story.
Dope. That'd be dope. That'd be dope. It's funny because it made me start thinking, and yours and CT relationship to me is what Martin and Gina relationship would have been if the show didn't end. Like if the show didn't end and then like they got you get well deep into their
Mhm.
marriage and everything like that. Like
Mhm.
I feel like that how they would rib each other, roast each other, how they interact. I feel like that if you guys ever get a chance to like just I know sitcoms are pretty much not the way right now, but if there was
I'm on two sitcoms, so I'm not gonna say they're not the way. You can watch me on Family Time, and you can watch me on Millennials on the All Black channel. It comes
you're
out
right,
next
you're right.
month.
Take that back. But if you guys would be able to get a show or a series based off of like that, like telling that
Hmm.
story, I feel like it would have that element because like that's one thing. Like if you think about all the shows that we generally see, like even with my wife and kids, like if when you can have that healthy relationship that where they can roast each other, but it's still love, and then it's like
Hmm.
them dealing with parenthood or just in general in the marriage. I think that those are the best relationships that we see on TV. Like as much as we love Fresh Prince, like the Uncle Phil and Aunt Phil relationship wasn't the big thing. It was more so like Uncle Phil and Will or Will and Carlton or whatever the case may be. But the
Yeah.
relationships that we remember are the ones where it's like, okay, you saw the good times, you saw the bad times, you saw the funny times, you saw
Yeah.
them roasting each other, and you guys are actually literally living that. And I think
And
that
that's why they were able to switch out Aunt Viv's because it wasn't about Aunt Viv and Uncle Phil. So it's like, you being difficult. Let's get another one in here. She ain't even got to look like you. We ain't even gonna explain it. We're just gonna keep shooting. It's funny that you say that about Martin because, of course, watching Martin when I was little, I pictured having a relationship like that because it just looked like such a fun relationship. And then lo and behold, they were shooting that show in their Detroit. Even though it was shot here in LA, they were in Detroit. He was a radio person. And then cut two, I married CT, who has always admired Martin, who is from Detroit. I met him in radio. We have a
right.
relationship like Martin and Gina. And he's a comedian just like Martin was. And then I'm friends with Martin and his family. So I helped him meet them. And then he actually went on tour with Martin. So it's like everything is full circle from that show. And I didn't realize it until a couple years ago. I'm like, oh, I married Martin. I married my version of Martin.
Yeah, your version of Martin. But you know what? It's your version of Martin, but also because I was telling my peoples, I was like, so you kind of give all geeks hope because CT in all sense is a geek. Now,
Yeah, he's a big nerd.
like, he's a big nerd. Me and him
Hmm.
on our episode, we was nerding out about Power Rangers, video games, anime,
Yes.
and all that stuff.
Yes.
But it's like, but he changed the landscape because you think of nerds and you're like, oh, they can't get a hot girl, they can't.
Yeah. Thank you.
Like you see you with him, it's like, oh, so he changes it. But that's one of the
Thank
reasons
you.
why we started the Geekset podcast because it was like much respect to all the geek properties and everything that's out there. There wasn't a lot of people that sound like me, look like me, or look like me and my peoples, and I was like, and like we cool shit. Like it's like we not the geeks that you see on TV with the glasses that like, oh, like that's not us. Like no, like we are cool as shit. And I feel
Yeah.
like see people like CT, Pat, us, arcade tokens, and all of them. Like I feel like we are changing that
Hmm.
on the top front of the Black Geek. And I was like, that's a story that I feel like needs to be told more. But I was like, yeah, CT's definitely he's definitely holding it down for us right now.
Thank you for that compliment. I think that because geeks are more popular, not just black ones, but because you can develop an app and become a billionaire like that, as opposed to, you used to tease the geek because you're like, he ain't gonna be nothing. He's a nerd. He's not getting any pussy. But it's like, no, he could be a millionaire like that with that mind, and anybody can do it now. Like it's success comes so quickly if you have enough followers or if you develop something that people want to buy or something. So being a geek is cool now. And CT didn't show his geek side. He walked around without his glasses. His head had a fresh little fade. He wore hip clothes. Nobody knew he was a geek. And then he played his video games. And then I got to know him, and I thought he was the whole young gun of comedy. I'm gonna smash everybody. But when I got to know him after we left Foxhole, when he had to put his guard down and work with me on another radio show, I got to see he was actually a nice guy. And I was like, oh, he's got glasses, he's got button-up shirts, he's like really into wrestling when nobody grown is watching wrestling anymore. He loves the Power Rate. Like he wasn't showing that at first. And I was like, okay, I like him now.
You know what's funny? I don't know if it was your anniversary or y'all just went on a trip, but what I thought was hilarious, like you would go to your page, you would see all the pictures of you posting it. You guys are at the beach and everything like that. But then you look in the background, it's him on his Twitch.
Yes. Yes. I have so many vlogs I need to post. We went to London, Paris, and Rome last year, and I didn't post the vlogs yet, but I did post a reel on my Instagram of us in Palm Springs. We took a staycation a few months ago because every now and then we just get hotels and suites or whatever. We took a staycation to this bungalow, amazing bungalow. We had 3,000 square feet to ourselves. We had our own swimming pool that nobody else in the property could use. We had people bringing us food. And this fool just set up his PS4 with this big mobile screen and was just playing the games. And I'm like in a bikini in the water. I got my little fruity drinks and I'm just having a great time with the staff. And I show it in the reel. I'm just like, this fool is just playing PlayStation because that is him. That's what he did in London. That's what he did in Rome. That's what he did in Paris. I'm shopping at the Louis Vuitton store. I'm meeting new people. I'm learning a couple words of the languages, and he is in all of our different hotel suites in different parts of the world playing his damn PlayStation. And I was like, that's my baby. At least I know where I find him.
Right. All right. So another thing that we do on here, we do top five, right? We generally do top five. I generally do one that's like within your realm, and then one that's a little bit more fun and anything like that. So with you being, like I said, with acting and directing things like that, what are some top five movies for you? That, like, just it doesn't have to be in order, but just top five movies.
Whew, that's always a hard question because I go to the movies a lot.
I know you got.
I'm in all these different, I'm in the TV Academy, the SAG Film Nominating Club. I'm in so many things. But first thing that comes to mind is Set It Off. Love the female empowerment of that movie. I loved how it made me feel. I loved seeing those young ladies in those roles and it, catapulted all their careers. I love Boomerang.
Ooh,
Um, I love seeing Robin Givens, Halle Berry being a nerd and pretending she's not fine as hell. I love um I love Zoolander. And Zoolander is ridiculous.
that is hilarious.
Magnum and Blue Steel, all that. I love that movie. I can watch it over and over and over again. I love Casino because I love Italian movies. I love Italian gangster movies. And if they make a black gangster movie, like I love Harlem Nights, but I
Yeah.
love movies. I think the reason that me as a woman, I like seeing the gangster movies because they treat their women with so much protection and providing, which is what we're taught we should look for in a man. And nobody does it better than cowboys and gangsters. They provide for that woman. They'll cheat on her. They'll cheat on her with all the girls, the harlots that work at the salon or whatever, but they will protect her, provide for her, and give her this fun, wild lifestyle while she's wearing all the fancy clothes. And so, Casino, ooh, that's my movie. Is that 5 yet?
No, that's four.
Let's
But
see. I said
if
Casino.
if we include Harlem Nights, then that's fine.
Harlem Nights. Yeah, that's a good 5. I like that 5. I like that 5. And I didn't say Coming to America. And you know why? Because I love that movie, but I don't like that he was willing to lose it all for that light-skinned girl while the dark-skinned girl was looking like a hoe, jacking him off at the game. I didn't appreciate that. It's a good movie, and it put a lot of people on, but I'm tired of it. Like, I grew up, and everything I was watching was, even in freaking Boomerang, the light-skinned girl is the one that everybody goes crazy over. The mixed girl, everybody goes crazy. The dark-skinned girl's like, get out of here. So... I love Coming to America, but I didn't put it on my top 5 because of that.
But you know what? I feel that you want to know one of the things that I like people joke with me all the time. They said that the music I make is woke. But before I was making that type of music, I was making just pretty much regular, like, you know what I'm saying, like what you hear on the radio type music. One of the things that I used to subconsciously do, but then I was like, I'm gonna make a point to do it. So you know how like every rapper, like when you rapping about a chick, they always rap about a chick, and they always say, "Oh, beautiful brown skin, light skin, this, that." I made it a point that anytime that I referenced a woman, I make sure I either say brown skin or dark skin, like not light skin. And I did that on purpose because of that. And because I was like, that was one of the things that really like, yeah, I saw that as at a young age, and I was like, even when it came down to like people was asking like, "Oh, what's your preference?" Like, listen here, what I grew up around was beautiful dark skinned women. I got nothing but love for them, and I got nothing but love for just like women just in general. But I was like, I didn't see no flaw in the dark skin. I really lived and loved that darker the berry, sweeter the juice. Like,
Amen.
I lived off of that. Like, you know, like even when I started getting tattoos on my arm, I got is a black woman. It's like an angel warrior woman because I said,
"Oh, I want to see. Take your shirt off."
It was right here. It's right. It's still not done. I don't even know if you can see it all, but it's supposed to be.
I'll zoom in when we watch the replay. Okay, I see wings.
Yep. So it's like
okay,
like
dope.
Because I said that I got so many strong black women in my life that like it represents everybody. It represents my mom. It represents, it represents my aunts. It represents my cousins. It represents all the strong black women that I knew. So like it's like
Nice.
that's one of the things that I was like I definitely understand. It's like you gotta
Thank you.
call it out. It was like my personal mission.
Is your mom chocolate?
Yes, she is.
I love when brothers appreciate their mom because it's like you have so many brothers, and this could be a whole nother podcast. You have so many brothers who like, I don't date black women because of this, or I don't date dark skinned girls because my preference is this. And that's fine. You can have a preference, but sometimes I feel like it might be rooted in not really loving your mom or not really seeing beauty in your mom. And it's like maybe, your mom, I don't know how you were raised that you don't see that this amazing woman brought you up, but you and CT love a sister. And that's
Yeah.
what I needed
Well,
because I was growing up seeing the opposite. And I was like, man, and if I like a guy and I start looking at his page and I see his kids are mixed, I'm like, oh, he don't like me. I can't flirt with him. He don't want my black ass.
my theory about preference, and I tell people all the time, I was like, your preference shouldn't be based off of physical representation, right? So
Mm,
like I have friends who date outside of their race and things like that, but the one thing that when you ask him why he's dating this person, it's not because, well, white women do this and white women does that. No, it's because he'll tell you like, yeah, me and her, we hit it off. She loves me.
mhm.
I do. She supports me. She makes me feel this and that, blah blah blah, and that's the case. And I tell people all the time, your preference, like if you say, oh, because white women do this, like, no, that's not the case, because there's black women who do the same exact.
Exactly.
But I
I
tell
make sure I suck a lot of dick for my man because I don't want him to ever say he needed to get a white girl. No, baby, I got you. I got
that's
you.
the thing. And then I tell people, and they're like, oh, black women always do this. I'm like, look, there's ain't shit black women, there is ain't shit white women, there are
Facts.
dope ass black women, there are dope ass white women. Your preference should be based off of that relationship there, because it's only when you have to put down somebody else to put
There you go.
what you got, I mean, when it becomes an issue. And I think
Hmm.
that's where the main issue is. It's like, yeah, most of the black guys who are dating white women, they're saying, oh, I'm dating white women because black women don't do this. So now you're putting down that race to lift this person up, not
Yeah.
focusing on the love or whatever.
Exactly. I remember being at Foxhole Radio and one of the comedians walked in and just blurted out that, I don't date white women because I don't date black women because I want to be able to take my girl on a trip and she can get her hair wet in the water. And I was like, first of all, sir, you're 4'11" and you have a pot belly. So if we're doing anything about physicalities, you might want to get it together. Do some sit-ups, maybe wear some heels, but you can't be making these demands about hair
Right.
that is rooted in our, it's rooted in our history and our culture. And if it's not kinky, it's because we weren't, we were raped. So if we're gonna go there, like, don't do that, sir, because you're not a 10. You're not a 10. And most of the brothers who are like that, they're not 10s. So I'm sure I'm getting hate mail in the comments, but I'm just speaking how I feel.
Get on my soapbox about that. That's something when you like in my music now where I'm at, like I do talk about that. I talk a lot about intercolor racism. So like that whole light skin, dark skin.
Because that's bad too. So they'll be in the comments talking about that. Well, she shouldn't be, but it's here. It exists. I mean, it's been pushed in our face for generations.
Yep, I talk about all that now, like, because it came to the point where when I did my first solo album, that was the first album that people would send me messages like, "Yo, this is kind of like what you said, like with your story, like, hey, this is my story dealing with this racism or dealing with this, or I like this," or people telling me stories on how my music touched them, and I said, I like that feeling. I was like, I like to be able to know that my music has touched somebody in a specific way. So I was like, I'm only going to make music that makes sense. Like, so the songs that I
Nice.
recently put out, like, it's really about pretty much like me talking about my inner demons and things that I deal with. And so it's like, it's just a more personal uh, thing. But it's like, it's one of those things. It's like, I feel like more people are scared to talk about like a lot of the things that they feel is taboo in the black community. Whether it is
Mm,
that the light skin, dark skin thing, or like how black women are discriminated against. The darker
mm.
you are, like how that is, and like it's one of those things that got swept under the rug. So I love the fact that there's more people talking about it now, or
Amen.
bringing it up, because it's like to me that's dope. It's something that I've been fighting for a long time. So,
Yes, yes, yes.
but not to get
I
off.
did the I did the book Dark Girls
Oh,
that Bill Duke did a book called Dark Girls, and I was so happy that they were finally going to put our voices out there. Then when the book came out, I hated the pictures that they posted. I was like, "You're not making Dark Girls look good at all." Like every pose they chose, ugh. And then he was like, "Now I got to do a book called Light Girls." And I said, "Well, damn it, then just do a book called Girls. If you do, if you still gonna give them their book." And I know that mixed girls have their struggle too. I've heard from my mixed friends that they don't know which side they fit in on, and everybody tells them they think they're better than them and all that stuff. I get it. But I was just so happy he was doing a dark girls book because we have been looking at the light girls book our whole life. You know what I'm saying? And then he was like, "Oh, I'm doing a light girls." And I'm just like, I can't have nothing.
I hate it. All right. So last thing that we do recommendations. It could be something that you're watching, something that you're reading, something that you're listening to, but something that you think our listeners and viewers should check out.
Mm. Let's see. I would recommend the book called The One Thing.
Okay.
That book is incredible. And like I said, I do a book a month on audiobook, and most of them that I do are self-help, things to help you evolve or, get better spiritually or career-wise. I don't do like novels and fiction, but this book to me felt like a modern day Bible. I didn't realize what I was getting into when I started listening to it. And it was I got it because I wanted to stop procrastinating. And it was the book is what is the one thing you can do right now that will make everything else you're doing easier or unnecessary? Because you always have a list to do, and you're like, oh my God, I have anxiety because I got so much to do. What's the one thing that if you did that, the rest of the stuff will be easier or you wouldn't have to do it? That book goes so much deeper than just that. And it's such a good read and it helps you in so many aspects of your life. I recommend The One Thing.
Okay, that's dope. I may check that out because, like me, every time I got a long list, I just say I'm just gonna dive into it. And I just try to. I'm like, what can I get the most off of this list? So it's probably
Yeah, a lot of us will do like the small things just so we could check stuff off.
just so we can check stuff off. So it's like maybe
Yeah.
go at it a different route and make it easier. All right,
Yes,
well,
the one thing.
how people find you?
You can find me on all social media platforms. I think I'm running 11 different social media pages right now. If you know how to spell Tanjareen, it's on my hat, not because it's cold, but because I want you to see how to spell my name. Tanjareen, not like the fruit. I'm on Facebook and Instagram, Twitter, Periscope, Twitch. My Discord is lit AF. And you asked me if I have a mentor. I'm a mentor in my Discord. Not only do you get to connect with me, and I'm also doing workout classes and I'm giving health advice. We have a room for eating clean, but I'm also giving advice for people on social media. I'm connected a lot, way too much in my Discord. So my Discord, the link is in my bio on all my social media sites. I create content on YouTube. I'm everywhere. I'm in Clubhouse. Just if you know how to spell my name, Tanjareen, you will find me. But I try to give back. I try to reply to all my comments, which is a lot. It's very time consuming, but I know that I want you to know that I appreciate the comments. So leave me comments. I write back. Don't DM me. I don't like DMs. I love comments. Keep it public because DMs, y'all don't be talking about nothing in DMs. Leave it public. I will write you back. But find me on all sites. And thanks for listening this far.
All right. Well, this has been one-on-one with Deuces. I've been Deuces. This has been Tanjareen, and we are out. Peace.
Tanjareen.
You like that video? Man, thank you for watching. We truly appreciate it. We got so many more videos on our page, so make sure you check them out over here. Hit that subscribe button and tap that notification bell so that way you can always be notified anytime we release a new video. You already know how Geekset get down. We got so much coming for y'all, man. Check it out. Stay in tune.